The South Carolina Hall of Fame was founded in Myrtle Beach in 1973 to recognize and honor contemporary and past citizens who have made outstanding contributions to South Carolina's heritage, history, and progress.
Robert Duncan Bass was born September 25, 1904, in Scranton, South Carolina, to a farmer, Fletcher Graves Bass, and Bertha Matthews Bass. Robert attended the Columbia Presbyterian Theological Seminary from 1925 till 1927. Robert Bass received a master's degree in 1927 and a PhD in 1933 from the University of South Carolina, where he began his teaching career as an assistant professor of English literature. Robert's military service included the US Naval Reserve, where he became a commander in 1934 to 1940 and became a professor of English literature at the US Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland, from 1941 to 1957. After teaching at the U.S. Naval Academy, Robert Bass returned to South Carolina to teach English literature at Furman University from 1957 to 1963 and at Limestone College in Gaffney, South Carolina from 1963 to 1966. During this time, he began researching and writing books about South Carolina during the American Revolution, including 96, The Struggle for the Backcountry, about the British strategy for ending the war from their post in 96, South Carolina. Swamp Fox, The Life and Campaigns of General Francis Marion, about the legendary figure of the American Revolution who conducted sudden, devastating blows to the British from the Carolina swamps. Robert Bass gained praise for his realistic and fascinating appraisal of this military genius. And The Green Dragoon, The Lives of Banastre Tarleton and Mary Robinson, about the infamous British commander known as Bloody Tarleton, who was best known for his barbaric actions in killing men even after they had surrendered. In 1959, the TV series called The Swamp Fox, created for Walt Disney's World of Color, was based on the book Swamp Fox by Robert D. Bass. Television and film star Leslie Nielsen played Francis Marion and helped to not only make the Swamp Fox a popular figure, but propel Robert Bass to become a foremost authority on the American Revolution. From 1966 till 1970, Robert Bass was a professor of English literature and department head at Erskine College in Due West, South Carolina. Former Erskine College history professor Robert Ackerman remembers working with Robert Bass.
We were on opposite end of the hall of the main building, but I remember the students liking him very much. He was obviously a good teacher, and he was obviously popular with the students. In those days, of course, there was a considerable interest in his Swamp Fox, but I thought it was interesting because authors whose works have been made into movies or TV have often complained bitterly about the treatment. Bob Bass had no real complaint. He thought he was treated well. And so his time at Erskine, there was a lot of attention to the Swamp Fox.
By 1980, Robert Bass was inducted into the South Carolina Hall of Fame for his distinguished career as an author, professor, and highly acclaimed speaker and authority on the American Revolution in South Carolina. Passing away in 1983, Robert Bass is remembered for his contributions to understanding South Carolina history.
At the time, he made people aware of the American Revolution in South Carolina when folks were primarily focused on the Civil War. And I think that's pretty darn important. It's one of my hobby horses. You know, the Revolution is something we need to talk about in South Carolina more. So, you know, in that way, I think Dr. Bass was an influential historian for his day.